everyone, welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today I have with us, she does a little bit of everything. She's a director, producer, assistant producer, writer, actress, and she's starring in Sibylla 6, and she's also working on a lot of other projects. I have with us today Amanda Megan. Amanda, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's a pleasure having you on. So, listen, you got a lot of projects going on right now. I mean, you're acting,
a lot happening, yeah.
You're directing. So, let's shoot in for first one real quick. Let's talk about you're working with Shannon Atkins with Sibylla 6. So, tell us a little bit about Sibylla 6.
So Sibylla 6 is one of Shannon's babies come to life. She's very proud of it. She's very excited for it. She's directing. She's starring in it. I am her assistant director for it, and I do have a very small role. I'm very excited to be able to play that role. It's going to be very challenging. There's going to be a lot of really cool special effects, so I'm excited for it. And the general concept is basically just like the dangers of online dating, because you know everything's online these days. So, and it's going to hit home for a lot of people. So,
yes, because I actually had Matt Burns on last week, I think it was, and we were talking about, I've been in that online dating room. We all have, and it can be scary. And I'm surprised there's not more horror movies made about online dating.
I think that it's because it's like such a real thing. Like people know, like we know, we do it, but we know better.
Yeah, I know. Because so much can go wrong. I mean, it's a perfect scenario for things to go wrong.
Yeah. Always do your research. I wasn't doing online dating at one point in my life, and anytime I would meet with somebody, like I would message like 5 people, like this is who I'm supposed to meet, this is their Facebook, this is where I'm going, like if you don't hear from me by this time, send everybody.
Now, did you ever find it weird when you ran across somebody and you said, "Oh, do you have social media?" and they said, "I don't have social media"? Like, wasn't that always a red flag when, especially someone 50 years or younger and they don't have social media?
Yeah, I guess nowadays I'd kind of question it. I was around before Facebook was a thing. And so like when I was growing up, it wasn't a thing. Like I wasn't even on social media until I left college. So it didn't really faze me then, but now it's so commonplace. I think I'd be like, why?
Yeah, no. So you're acting in this, so tell us a little bit about your character, if you can.
It's a very, very small role. I only have like 1 or 2 scenes. It's really just to drive the point of the dangerous side of it home. I can't reveal too much about it.
Yes. I actually have Shannon coming on in a couple of days, so I'm gonna see.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, so I mean, by acting and also being on the other side of the camera, is there a preference for you? Do you like being behind the camera, or do you like being in front of the camera?
So I like both. I feel like I kind of really found my place when I directed Anna Key. I will not do both. I will not act and direct the same film. For me personally, it's just too much. It's too much stress. It's too much. I don't feel like I can really focus and give my attention to all of it if I'm trying to do all of it.
Yeah.
So I'll do one or the other. I won't do both. That's the only reason Shannon got me in this role, because I was like, only if it's really, really small. So like you can have me behind the camera or in front of, like, you got to pick one. She's like, okay, let's do this.
Exactly. I mean, don't you find it interesting when you see a filmmaker and they're the director, producer, writer, and the lead actor or actress? And aren't you like, whoa, what's going on there?
It's exhausting. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like something is being missed. You know what I mean? Some pieces of the puzzles are being missed by doing that.
I agree with you. I feel like you really need a team mindset. Like there's a lot of people that are like, no, I don't need anybody. I can do this on my own. You can, but it's not going to go well. If you want it to go well, then you kind of got to lean on each other. And I've been really lucky because a lot of the projects that I've worked on, I've had that team, I've had that support. I've made this little like film family for myself. So I'm very grateful for that.
and you're in the DMV, Pennsylvania area, and it's such a tight knit community. I live in Maryland myself, so it's and I've by doing this, I feel like wow, it's such a tight knit community. Like you guys definitely work with each other, you bounce off each other. Tell us a little about that networking experience.
So, well, actually, when I first started doing this, I did a film back in 2018. It was called Samhain. It was from a friend of mine from high school. His name's Scotty McCoy. They have another film coming out soon-ish called 72. But that film was the very first experience I've ever had on a film set. And we grew up in a small town in central Pennsylvania called, well, it was Schuylkill County, coal cracker country, Yinglings there. Very small, close knit like people. And so when we put this out, we started to get a lot of other film people like messaging us or like sending us friend requests, or we started to network that way. And then from there, everything just kind of like spiraled, but like in a good way. Like I have no idea. I couldn't tell you how I met Matt Burns. I know how I met Shannon. I couldn't tell you how I met half the people that I met, but they're like best friends now, you know, like I talk to them so often. I see them more than I see my family most of the time.
Because I mean, I tell you about, you know, I first started my show and I was getting indie horror filmmakers and creators. Like I said one time, I had Ken Arnold on my show, and I ran into him at, well, I think it was called Fright Reads. It was in somewhere in Maryland near BWI Airport. And I was like, boy, there's not that many Marylanders or DMVers in indie horror. He was like, what are you talking about? They're all over the fucking place. They're in Frederick, Maryland. They're all up in that area. They may not be in Baltimore, but they're definitely up in that Frederick area. And he is correct. I mean, you know, Shannon's up there. I mean, Matt Burns is from up there. I mean, even like, you know, you start looking in Virginia, you got, you know, Mike McGlynn and Shonda Rawlings. I mean, there's just a huge indie horror community in this DMV Pennsylvania area.
Yeah, there's some that have started to pop up in North Carolina, like Dave Kerr and Josh Graves, I want to say. So I haven't met a whole lot of people from Pennsylvania. I've met a few from like out in Pittsburgh, but not a whole lot from like where I'm from.
So was it challenging when you were like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to step out here, fuck this shit, I'm going to make my own horror movie? Was that challenging? Was that terrifying?
So I just started making my very own. I actually recently announced that I'm doing my own production company. It's called Dancing Demons Media Group. And I'm working on a film called Black Sheep. That's my working title. Whether or not it will stay called that is yet to be determined. But Shannon has already agreed to be a part of it. DJ Patton wants to be a part of it, so I'm really excited. The script is fantastic. I have a spot for Shonda if she wants it. So it's terrifying, yes, but it's also exciting because I know that I have that support, and now that I have that experience behind the camera and in front of the camera, I feel like I can kind of put it all together a little bit easier now.
Now, a lot of filmmakers say that, you know, selecting filming locations is one of the toughest parts. Now, have you decided on filming locations for Black Sheep?
Not yet. I just finished the first draft of the script, so I want to kind of focus on that and narrow that down. Once I have that to where I want it, then I'm going to start the location scouting, the casting, the funding, all of the behind-the-scenes stuff, essentially. So I have a couple of scenes in my head where they're going to be very niche down locations, but as far as physical actual locations, not yet. So
we stand on the East Coast.
Yes, I'm going to stay on the East Coast. I don't feel like I'd be able to afford to send everybody out west.
Yeah, I mean, the East Coast, I think, is probably the best place. I mean, maybe the Midwest, like cost efficient to make movies. I can imagine the West Coast is outrageously expensive.
Yeah, I'm not trying to find out.
All right, so now by being on the East Coast, are there any struggles when it comes to, you know, finding roles for whether it be movies, producers? Was that something that was tough for you to do?
Kind of. I struggle a little bit finding roles in front of the camera. I feel like people have really come to understand my skill set behind the camera, and so they tend to focus on that. But I do love being in front of the camera too, and I do have certain boundaries that I won't break. So depending on the film and the role and what's required, it might not be something that I want to do. Like I don't do a whole lot of nudity or sexual scenes if it doesn't add to the story, and if they don't have like an intimacy coordinator. Like my safety is always my first concern, and I want everybody else to feel that way too. So if it's somebody that I know and I've worked with and I feel safe with and they know what they're doing, then I would negotiate it. But yeah, I tend to feel, or sometimes I'll get a lot of like typecast. I get a lot of offers for roles that are like, you start out as like this meek little girl and then you turn into this psychopath, and I was like, okay.
So is it easier? I mean, okay. I'm gonna ask you another question. So has there ever been in a time you received a script or offer for a role and the kill scene, or there was a kill scene that you were like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with this?
Yes, I was on a set. Well, it was after the script. I was actually on a set and they were talking about a kill scene, and it wasn't even my kill scene. But the way that it was being handled wasn't appropriate for what they were doing. Like they were talking about using real weapons, and they were talking about, and I was just like, yeah, we're not doing that. I'm not comfortable with that. Like if you're going to do that, I'm walking off of this set. So I don't know what happened, because I did end up walking off of that set for other reasons, not because of that. But I also have worked on, I did have a script sent to me once that I turned down. Matt Burns had actually sent it to me, and the role was a little bit too close to home for me. The character that he had in mind for me had been in a very abusive relationship, and it was just, it was too much for me. Like I would not have been able to handle it, and I shared that with him, and he was like, okay, cool, no hard feelings, and we still work together all the time. So I appreciate people who respect those boundaries.
Now, I have a question for you. So I'm sure you've always been a horror fan growing up.
Mm-hmm.
What was that first horror movie that you watched? That two-part question. What was the first one that made you a horror fan? What was the first one that scared the shit out of you?
Well, so it actually wasn't a movie that got me into horror. When I was growing up, we lived in this really big house, and it was my mom, my dad, me, my brother, my grandfather, my aunt, my uncle, their two children. And I remember they would go out every so often, and my uncle would stay home to babysit. And it was me, and everybody else was like younger than me. So it was always Indiana Jones for some reason. It was always Indiana Jones for movie night. And then once the little kids fell asleep, I would beg him to let me watch Crypt Keeper, like Tales from the Crypt. And my mom would hate it. She would always tell him, don't let her watch that. But he would always give in and let me watch it. And so I blame him that this is where we are now, but in a good way. A movie that scared the shit out of me, that's a tough one, because I would have to say Michael Myers freaked me out for a while. He freaked me out for a while because it was the blank face and like there was no real purpose. It was just like he kills people to kill people, I guess. That freaked me out for a while. My all-time favorite like horror movie is Martyrs. It's like the French version.
Oh, that's the one.
I love that so much because the concept, the plot, the acting, the special effects, everything is just like top notch. So that's my favorite.
That's cool. By the way, I fucking love Tales of the Crypt. I grew up, I'm an 80s kid, and so I fucking love Tales of the Crypt. And I used to sneak down and watch it on HBO every night. It was so fucking good. I mean, they don't make anthology. I mean, aside, I shouldn't bet up, but I mean, that was such a great anthology series.
Yes. So you get what I'm saying then.
yes. Tales of the Crypt was absolutely amazing. But even like the Tales of the Crypt movies, Demon Knight and Bordello Blood, I love both those movies.
Yes.
For different reasons, but I love both of those movies. Right. So I'm gonna shoot over to some of those. You're also working on Head on the Writers blog, and I've
Yes.
been seeing advertisements for this all over social media. Tell us a little bit about Head on the Writers blog.
Okay, so Head on the Writer's Block. This is actually a really good segue because it is an anthology. So,
Yes.
so it's Matt Burns plays this author who's writing these different kind of short stories, and you kind of get to see some of those stories on the big screen, and then life happens to his author character. So, and I just saw today or yesterday or whenever he put it out that they're actually going to do a double feature. And they're working on part 1 and part 2 simultaneously. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited for that.
It looks fun, and like I've been seeing it, and I love a good fucking anthology. I love a good anthology.
Yeah.
Now, what's your role in this one? Are you producing?
No, I'm actually acting in this one. So I get to be in front of the camera. So that was super exciting too. Shannon is actually directing our portion of it. And I know that it was really important to Matt and the rest of the producers to kind of showcase the local talent in the DMV area. So there's a lot of different producers and a lot of different directors involved. Myself and Chris Laws, he's actually a newbie to the indie scene. This is the second film that I've worked on with him. I think this is his second film, like, ever so far, but he is fantastic to work with. He takes direction so well. He's a very safe, comfortable person to be around, very pleasant. He did a fantastic job. I expect big things from him. So we kind of like star in this short. And then we got a couple of extras hanging around. So I don't know how much I can give away about that short either, though. So just make sure you watch it.
Now, without giving away what city you live in, you live near so I'm a huge horror video game, and Silent Hill is one of my favorite video games. Mm-hmm. And so you live pretty close to the actual Silent Hill town. I don't know if you know that or not. Have you been there?
Yeah. So I actually grew up about 20, 30 minutes away from there. It's called Centralia. It is a real place that does exist. It is still on fire. There was a mine fire that started back in like I want to say 1960s, give or take, and it is still on fire. Sometimes you can still see like the smoke and stuff come up from the like cracks and stuff. There used to have this really cool stretch of highway that they called Graffiti Highway. Yes. They've covered it up since then, which is unfortunate, but
I heard what you said.
Yeah, broke my heart a little bit. I still have some pictures from there, so I'll have to dig them out and show you. But yeah, you can see that there's a road that they did some of the filming on for Silent Hill. The church is still there. So there's some pretty neat stuff there. It really is abandoned. There's about maybe 4 houses on the highway that goes through there. So
I actually went there a couple of years ago, and when the graffiti was there, and the graffiti highway was there, and it is such an eerie, creepy town. And but you go out a couple miles west, and there's like a bookstore. There's like a little couple of shops. But when you go into that town itself, it's just so eerie, and yeah, you can see the steam coming up from the actual pavement. Yeah,
it's kind of like right in the middle of like 3 or 4 different small towns that are still well populated, but like it's just this one little spot. Like you go through it, and you're just like, is this okay?
Yeah. And most people don't know, because I remember when I went, I posted up on my Facebook. People were like, "Wait, there's a real Silent Hill town?" It's like, "Yep, this is the town they based the video game off of."
Yeah, Centralia actually inspired that video game and that movie, or at least parts of it. I didn't work on them, so
parts of it, yeah. All right, so now this is a fun part of the interview, Amanda. I'm gonna ask you 3 random horror questions. You ready?
Okay, sure.
All right. First question: which iconic horror movie character do you feel like you relate to the most?
Oh, do I relate to? I've never been asked that question. I'm gonna go with Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. I feel like my personality is definitely a final girl personality. Like, I'm not going to give up. If you come at me, I'm going to keep coming at you. And one of us is going to make it out, and it's going to be me. And my sleep habits are total trash, so I relate to her right there.
Nancy, a great one. I would say my number 2 favorite final girl, besides behind Maury Strode, of course.
Of course,
she is the final girl of mine.
Yeah.
Second question: what horror movie character, horror villain, I should say, would you like to see a woman version of?
Oh. I mean, I've kind of seen them all in some sort of form of cosplay, but if they go like full bore with it, I believe they did a female Pinhead, which is super cool. I haven't seen it, but that is like on my bucket list. Like, I'm dying to see that. I would love to see a female Pyramid Head. I've seen the cosplays of it, but I feel like if you get the right person to do it, it would just knock it out of the park, like completely. It would like revamp that entire like franchise.
Yes. Now, would she carry the sword?
Oh yeah, you have to have a sword.
Okay.
I feel like that's a must. She's gonna have to be a badass. She's gonna need to work out, but
she's definitely gonna need to work out to carry that big ass sword.
Right?
Last question. This is one I always ask. This is a controversial one. But what horror movie franchise are you tired of?
Oh. Well, a lot of people are going to hate me for this answer. But I was never a big Scream fan. I feel like the first one was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. And then from there, it's literally the same exact story every single time with new people. So I am personally over Scream. So.
By the way, a lot of people have been saying that recently, Scream, and I'm like shocked. And I'm like, because you know, there's a typical. Most people are tired of Halloween at this point. Most people are tired of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my number 1. I'm tired of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You're tired of that one.
I'm absolutely tired because I mean they're getting worse by each one. Like I'm like at some point you just have to just put a Nixon in and just give it a break. Give it some time to breathe. Yeah, because they're pumping out one like every 2 years. I'm like. They're getting worse. Like, just let it sit for a while, for like 10 years, and
let it build back up a little bit.
Yeah.
My problem with Scream is that like, I wasn't I'm not tired of it now. I was tired of it back then.
But listen. I kind of listen. So when it comes to Scream, I don't think there's a bad Scream movie, right? I don't think there's a Scream movie that's like, oh, this is awful. But I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. They're all very well done. The acting is all very good, but I was over it. And then they started doing the whole parodies of it, and I was just like, I'm good.
I'm tired of like, I guess what do you call it? The Legends character? I'm tired of, especially like a new one. Jenna Ortega and her sister, I found them annoying.
You found them annoying?
Yeah. I found them kind of annoying. And, like, I mean, I understand people were saying, oh, well, they're not going to be in the next Scream movie. And I'm like, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm looking forward to seeing Sidney Prescott come back, believe it or not. So
yeah, I'm excited for that. I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but I'm still going to go watch it. So
yes. But yeah, I mean, Scream, I totally get it. Yes, it's a franchise that it gets kind of redundant. Like, there's no way you couldn't pay me to binge watch all the Scream movies back to back to back. There's no way I could do that.
I don't think I could do it either. No.
There's no way to do that. I think they're better movies than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I'd rather watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies back to back.
Really have something a little bit different. Even like with the remake, they threw something new in with like the bus and the developers coming in and everything. Like they were able to kind of modernize it as they went along and not just keep it the exact same story.
And I like to think that I'm super intelligent and so forth, but besides the first one, I knew who the killer was within the first 15, 20 minutes. I mean, did you feel the same way?
I feel that way about a lot of movies. My mom hates it because if we all like, if my mom, my dad, and I, if we sit down and all watch a movie together, it'll take my dad about 10 minutes. It'll take me maybe about 25, and my mom's like, "Why do I do this with you people?"
All right, Amanda, where can everyone find you?
Where can they find me?
Yes.
Facebook is probably
Yes.
the best place. I am most active on there. I am on there as Amanda Megan. I do have an Instagram page. I am in the process of updating a website for Dancing Demons. Yeah, I don't think I have anything. I have some other things coming up in the works. They're just not quite ready to go yet. But Facebook would probably be the best place to find me. Yeah.
Okay. Were you at Creature Feature weekend this past weekend?
I was. Yeah, I went down Friday night because I bought the stupid weekend pass. Because I literally only bought it because I wanted to see Jordan's movie Friday night, and I was afraid that if I didn't do the weekend pass, I wouldn't be able to. So I went down Friday night, and Friday was a disaster for me. And I feel like whenever you're onto something really good, the universe is just kind of like, here's all these 8,000 things that I'm going to put in your way to see if you really want to be there or not. Because that's exactly what happened. I got stuck. I was on my way down to Gettysburg. I was on, I think it's 15. And I hit traffic because there was an accident. A tractor trailer like went over a bridge and took out power lines, and it was just a whole big mess. And I sat there for like an hour. And so I finally get to the restaurant. I met up with Shannon and our friend Nikki. We had dinner, and then we went over to the hotel, and I met up with Russell Sage Patrick, Jesse Green, Brandy Dalton, and a bunch of other like people. I got to meet Ken Arnold for the first time. So that was really cool.
Nice guy.
I got to watch Beetlejuice do karaoke.
Nice.
And then I got to watch Jordan's movie, and it was so good. His movie it was like the most heartfelt horror film I have ever seen. The special effects was good. The plot was good. I loved the beginning because the beginning is not at all what you thought was going to happen. It was fantastic. Like Jordan absolutely crushed it like he always does.
I am so pissed off with Jordan. By the way, I apologize. Because I was supposed to be there Friday night, and I wanted to see the movie. I had him on for the interview, and I heard it was amazing, and I was so pissed off. I had to work the next morning, which sucked. But I was able to get there Saturday, and I got to see some of the filmmakers I reviewed, and it was pretty cool to get to meet people who I've talked to, but never met them face to face. So it was
nice.
Awesome.
I was there Saturday morning, but we had left early in the day. We left at like 2 or 3 because we actually went and did a tattoo party. We did tacos and tattoos and stuff, and it was a really fun day. So, but I love doing the creature feature stuff. I love seeing all of my one of my friends referred to it as an indie film family reunion, and I mean he's basically right. And then some celebrities just show up, and then you can go shopping. It's like Christmas for us indie people. So it was such a good time.
I had no idea because I go to horror conventions all throughout the country, and I've been meaning to go to Creature Feature, but I did not know that Creature Feature it is the indie horror convention. Is
pretty much.
Yeah. So so
I'm actually going down to North Carolina in May for Fear Fest, so I'm pretty excited for that too.
The horror room will be there as well, so we'll be there as well.
Maybe I'll actually get to meet you in person.
Yes, I'll be Friday and Saturday, so I'll be here.
Okay, I'll be there Friday and Saturday. I'm actually volunteering for them. So, are you going to be at Gross Fest in Pittsburgh in August?
So, listen, I reached out to Gross Fest, which sounds like the most amazing convention ever, right? And I heard about it. I was like, oh my goodness, like some kind of way, I am the indie horror YouTube channel, right? I'm the #1 guy, right? And I reached out to, I think, Tim Gross, and I was like, hey, some kind of way we need to put this together or something where I can bring you on and promote this stuff. I never heard back from him. So I'm like, oh, but maybe Pittsburgh is a 4-hour drive. So
yeah, I'll be there that Saturday. So I did a film with Dave Castiglione of Sharky Video called The Blue Hole, and he'll be there promoting that weekend. So I told him I'd come hang out with him for Saturday because I can't get off of work for Friday, but I can be there Saturday. So.
Okay. Now, how far of a drive is that for you? About 3 hours?
It's about 3 hours. Yeah, 3 or 4 hours, depending on traffic and the turnpike and all the people.
Yeah, a nightmare. That Pittsburgh drive is not fun. That Pittsburgh drive is
It
not
could be
fun.
a lot worse. It could be a lot worse, but.
And that's when? And when is that?
What's that? You froze on me. What's up? Gross Fest, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Okay. All right, I'll put that down.
Yeah, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I think. That weekend, at least.
All right. Well, everyone, listen. Look out for Amanda. Follow her on social media. Listen, look out for Sibylla 6. Head on the writer's blog. Look out for Black Sheep. Listen, she got look out for all her stuff. She got a lot of stuff going on. And she'll also be at Carolina Fair Festival, too. Memorial Day weekend. And is it Finer? Is that Raleigh, North Carolina, or Wilmington? It's one of them.
It's Raleigh. That's the Raleigh area.
Raleigh, in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'll be there, too. All right, everyone. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming to the Hard Rim. I'm Travis Bruce, and she's Amanda Megan. Why do you have two first names just like I do?
There's a reason for it.
Yes. All right, everyone. Well, see you guys next time. Take care.